Hello, and welcome to Chapter 9.2 of How to Read and Study the Bible using the Olivetree Bible app. We're going to look at customizing your settings today under the gear icon and the Advanced tab. So let's get started. Okay, let's go up to our gear icon, click on that, go down to Advanced Settings, and here we have a ton of settings that you can literally customize the whole look and feel and functionality of your app. So let's start with the first one, fonts. In here, we can control virtually all of the fonts in the whole app, including the main window, the parallel window, pop-up windows, including the Greek and Hebrew fonts. So that's kind of exciting, I think, because I like to customize things so that I can read and use the app to my better advantage. So in this section under font settings, you'll notice we have different headings. Main menu window font, parallel window font settings, pop-up windows, and resource guide, search font settings, and note settings, and then reset. So each one of these sections allows us to make multiple choices. There's usually about 4 choices. Some of the bottom ones only have 2. We can change our font face. We can choose any font that we have available to us on whatever device we're at. So I have quite a few on here. I could use any one of these fonts if I wanted to. And let's just change one of them. I could put American typewriter in it if I thought that was easier for me to read. It's not. So I'm going to go back and reset fonts. Put it back to the way I like it. So we could change our font face. We could change our font size on here. And I like this section because I can actually choose the exact specific font size that I want, and I can get my fonts to match up in different windows. The parallel window, the main window, if I want them to match or if I want them to be a little smaller or a little bigger. By default, the pop-up window and the links windows comes up, the font's a little smaller, and it kind of sets it off a little bit so you can see where you're at. It's nice. However, for my eyes, at age 65, I like to have the fonts a little bigger in my notes pop-up, in my pop-up window menu, so I choose them all the same. These font sizes are basically the same that we have under our gear icon here, except we have more control over how, exactly where we put those settings. So that's what our fonts are, and we can do it for any one of these sections. We can change our pop-up windows, our parallel window fonts, and we can change them all a little bit different, so it's quick and easy to see the difference between the different windows, like especially the main window and the parallel window. Sometimes the parallel window is a little smaller, and you can just see that quickly. It's a nice visual feature. However, I like them all the same. So those are the font sizes and font faces. You can change the Greek font size as well, and the Hebrew font size, and the same with all these windows. So those are font settings. Let's go to colors now, and we can also change the colors that we want in our Bible or in any of our books or any of our windows that pop up. Again, we have these sections, the main window section, the split window section, which is really, if we go down here and click on the study guide, that's the split window. And within the split window, we have a resource guide, a parallel guide, notes, and lookup. So I'm going to close this, go back to our gear icon, advanced settings, and colors. So we can change the colors virtually anywhere in our app. We can change the text color, and we have lots of choices. We can change the words of Jesus. Normally they're in red. This is kind of in a dark red. We could make it a brighter red if we wanted to. And we can change the Strong's number color. Now, if we have open, let me go back and open up Strong's. I'll open up ESV Strong's. I have Strong's colors in NIV and ESV. And if we go in here, we'll notice that some of these words are in black, like the word the here is in black, and the word beginning is in dark blue. And that's what this option gives us a choice to change if we want. So when we go to colors, we want to change the Strong's number color. We can go in here and make this, let's say, olive green if we want. So all those words that link to a Greek dictionary in the ESV Strong's Bible or the NIV Strong's or whatever Strong's we have, the NASB has a Strong's, and I believe the NLT has a Strong's option available to it. So this would change it for all of them globally. These are global settings, and you can see much easier which words now have a link to the Greek dictionary. So if I click on the word life there, so the word life pops up in my Greek dictionary, and so I can easily access that. I like it the way it is, even though it's a little dark. And I'm going to go back to advanced settings, colors, and Strong's numbers, because if you make this too different, it just gets hard to read the text. Now this one, it's really obvious which ones are black and do not have the words linked to the Greek dictionary, because the word the and all, we don't need that. We want these words like father and Moses. So I'm going to go back to the default, which is this one here, because there's a slight difference in the color, but it's not that much of a difference in the color that it's going to interrupt my reading flow. So those are the Strong numbers, and we can go down through here and change the color of the verse numbers, footnote colors, and we can do the same in our split window, our pop-up window, and we can even change global window colors. So that's the colors, and you can go crazy, and you can actually have some fun playing around with it. I like the default ones. I have played with it and come back to that because it ends up being easier, and I think Olivetree did a little bit of research on it before they decided what the default was going to be. Scrolling is the next item in our list under advanced settings, and we can scroll up and down or left and right, and then basically that's the same choices we have over here. This is a quick way to change it. I like the vertical scrolling, and I'm going to keep it on vertical scrolling for now, but if I change it to vertical scrolling, I turn vertical scrolling off, and I go in here in advanced settings, that change is now reflected in here as well. So it's on left to right, which is horizontal scrolling, or I can choose vertical scrolling there. If I choose left and right, we have a few more choices down here, but I like to keep it here, and to me, that's the way I love to read. You can change it to the way you like it. And down here, we can turn off parallel follows main and resource guide follows main. So if we go down here and open up our study center and we have a split window, the right side follows the left side when we have parallel follows main. So the left side is always the main reading window, and the resource guide or the parallel would be in the right side. So we can have them track and sync with each other if we want, or we can turn that off and do it manually. So that's the scrolling settings. Table of contents, our go-to section. We can show the list version. We can show the grid version. And that's pretty much the same options roughly as we have in here when we go to our TOs, our table of contents section for whatever book we have open. This is how we navigate whatever book we happen to have open. It's our table of contents. So if you had an ebook open, it would have a normal table of contents, like chapter 1, chapter 2, and things like that. So we have these three dots up here, this icon, menu icon, and we can disable shading, or we can use a full grid layout or a list layout. So we can go between list layout here, which is like that, or we can go to a grid layout. I like the compact grid layout, but whatever you like. If you like this, you can go to there, and it shows you the chapters that you can go to. Or in the grid, the compact grid, it does the same thing essentially. Click on Genesis, shows you all 50 chapters. Click on your chapter and your verse that you want to go to, and you go right to that verse. So that's that under advanced settings and the table of contents guide. So that's how you can change that. And hyperlinks. This is a nice one to be able to change. We have the default Bible hyperlink, which you can change whenever there's a hyperlink in your text. You can change what Bible you want opened. The last open Bible, the last one that you had open, or you could choose any of your Bibles that you want. I usually like to keep it on ESV Strong's so that when I have a link, it opens up to ESV Strong's, because I usually read in the NIV. And if I click on a link in the NIV, whether it's in my notes tab or whether it's in the resource guide, it'll open up in Strong's, and then I can compare the two. So I like to have that, but you can put it to anything, whatever Bible you have available to you in your library, you can choose that Bible, and hyperlinks will open up in that Bible. So that's the hyperlinks for the Bible. You can also choose hyperlink settings in the Bible. I mean, you can choose where they open up in your Bible or whatever book you happen to have open. But mostly this is going to be in your Bible. So you can have your the links that you click on open up into a pop-up window, open up in the same window. The same window means it'll just replace whatever's here with whatever link that you clicked on, or open up in a parallel window. So I can illustrate that for you real quick. If we go to the Open Study Center, now we have the Study Center open. I'm just going to go back to my NIV here, and I'm going to click on this in the resource guide, and these are commentaries. So if I click on a commentary and I'm reading this commentary, these links in green, these are hyperlinks. And so that's what that's referring to. So if I click on this, I have it set up to open up in a pop-up window. And I love that because I can just open it up and not lose my place in whatever book or Bible I'm reading. And it just opens up a nice pop-up window. I read it and then I close it and I'm done. But if you want to, you can go into this advanced settings here and you can go to hyperlinks and choose it to open up in the same window, which would replace that window. So if I use same window here and go in here and click this link, it replaced where I was. So now I got the whole big screen of that text that was the hyperlink. And then if I want to, I can just go back here. So that's not bad either. You can also go into advanced settings under hyperlinks, and under hyperlink settings, open Bible hyperlinks in parallel window. You can do that too. So this happens to be the parallel window, so it's going to do the same effect. But if you have hyperlinks that are open over here, let's say I go on to a cross note, open up a cross note, and click on a hyperlink here, it'll open up over here because we have it set to parallel windows. I am going to go back and set mine back to hyperlinks, open Bible hyperlinks in pop-up window, because that's where I like it. I think it's quick, efficient, easy. Usually when I look at a hyperlink, I just look at that verse or 2 or 3 verses. So if I click on a link over here again in my Bible, and I click on this hyperlink, it takes me to verse 50. I can read as much as I want in here. Or I also have a choice in this pop-up window to open up in the main window or over here if I want to do more extensive reading. So I have that choice, quick and easy. I like that choice is available to me, but then I don't lose where I'm at. I'm still right in my same window where I was. So those are those choices for the under advanced settings and hyperlinks for Open Bible. And so the same is true for footnotes and Strong's. You can choose pop-up window, same window, or parallel window in any of those. So moving along to the resource guide, this is actually my favorite section of Olivetree Bible app. I use this quite a bit. It's one of the main reasons why I got it. If you look at this resource guide in here, we see that we have all of our sections of the resource guide listed right here. And we can click on this button up here, reorder, and change the order of these sections. So just to show you what that means, let's click out of here and go down to resource guide. And now we have our resource guide open. We're in the open study center. I have the first tab at the bottom, resource guide. And so we have this commentary open. So if I go back to the beginning of the resource guide, there we go. This is the home page of the resource guide. And this section here is the commentaries. And this will show me how many commentaries are available for whatever verse I'm at over here. So let's just re-navigate just to show you what I mean. Right now I have 8 commentary verses under the John Phillips commentary that show up for Genesis 31. The Believer's Bible Commentary has 5. So let's go back to the New Testament. Let's go back to John 1:1 and show you how that changes. Now that all changed, and now we're at John 1:1, and we have under the expository Bible commentary, there's 15 commentaries or verses that comment on verse 1:1 or following. And the MacArthur has 3, the New International Commentary in the New Testament has 17, the Pillar has 19. So we can click on any one of these and go to those commentaries. So if you notice in this resource guide, there are sections: commentaries, related verses, Bibles, and if we go back to our advanced settings to the resource guide, this is where we can change the order of those sections. So right now I have commentaries first and related verses. If I wanted to take, let's go back. If I click on reorder, you'll notice that there's these 3-line bars again, they're like a large hamburger. And if I click on hold on these 3 lines, I can drag this section up to the top. And now I hit done. I click off on white space, and I'm going to close my study center and open it again. And now we can see that the order of these sections has changed because I changed it in the advanced settings. So I'm going to go back and change it back because that's the way I like it, and go back to the resource guide, reorder, and I'm going to put this one back down to the second section. And I'm going to hit done, so now it's reordered. Not only can you change the order of the sections, and there's quite a few sections here, you can click on each section and change the order of the contents in that section. In this case, under commentaries, the order of the commentary books that I have chosen. So if I hit reorder in this section, which is the commentary section, I can reorder these books. So if I have a book down here like a Warren Wiersbe book, I just grab on this 3-menu hamburger icon, and I can click and hold, and I can grab that up and raise that up a little bit if I want. So I can bring it up to, let's say, here, and drop it there, and I hit done. And now I click off and go back to the resource guide. I'm just going to close it to refresh it, open the study center, and now I click on more. I see I have the Warren Wiersbe one right there. Actually, if I want that to show up right away, I can move it up a little higher and it'll show up right away. So let's go back to the resource guide, click on commentary section where I can reorganize the books, and I'm going to hit reorder, and you notice it's down here below expository commentary set. I'm just going to drag it up here just to show you what I mean. So now it's a little higher and it's going to show up right away. So let's close this and reopen it to refresh it. And now the Warren Wiersbe with the word Bible commentary shows up right where I put it. So that's how that works. And you can do that with all the sections in your resource guide. You can go to any one of these and reorganize your books. Also, if you want to, you can go into any one of these sections and you can turn off the whole section here. You can hide books with zero results. Let's say I'm doing a search on Hebrews 1:1 and with the word Bible commentary has no commentary on that particular verse. If I have this chosen, which I do, it'll hide all the commentaries that don't have a search result for that particular verse. Also, I can hide all the commentaries. I can hide the entire section if I want. So if I click that and I close my resource guide and reopen it, it completely hides and disables my whole entire commentary section. And I'm just going to go back and turn that back on again. So go back to the resource guide, commentaries, and I'm going to turn it back on. So you can turn off any one of these books if you don't want it to show up. And I have a lot in there. I probably got way too many. I don't need them all. But if I wanted to, I can go in here and just turn off a whole bunch of these books and they won't show up. So that's the resource guide. Very powerful. My favorite section. Let's go back to advanced settings and go to gestures and shortcuts. And in this section, with iPads and iPhones, but not with your computer, you have the ability to use your finger to swipe across the page or double tap. So this is where you can go in and customize your gestures. So right now, I have it set up for a one finger double tap to open up history. So let's go in here and try that. I'm going to double tap real quick with my one finger and it opens up my history. This is my reading history and I can close that. And let's go back to advanced settings. And if I wanted to, I can go down to gestures and change that from right now it's open history to, let's go to my library view. Now I can click off on that, and now when I double tap on there, it'll open up my library. So these are my books that are available. It might be very convenient for you if you like that. You can put whatever you want in there. There's a ton of choices. I already have my library right here, so I don't do that. So I'm going to go back and put it back to open history. So gestures and open history. Now, however you like to work, you can change it to any one of these. And you can change any one of these. The two finger swipe left, two finger swipe right. I use these a lot when I'm reading and I'm jumping around in my Bible, going from one link to another link or one Bible verse to another Bible verse. Let's say I do a search up here for the word pray. And I'm going through all these different links that have the word pray in it. And I'm reading them and meditating on it or whatever, praying about it, hopefully. I can go back and through my history by using two fingers swipe left and right. And you could change that however you want. So these are all your gestures. And you can do 1, 2, and 3 finger double taps and swiping left and swiping left. So there's lots of gestures that you can use to help you navigate through your Bible or whatever book happens to be open. So that's gestures. And let's go to display. And now we can choose several different display options. If we choose show Strong's number, it's not going to show up in my 1984 because I don't have Strong's open. So I'm going to turn this off and I'll go and open up a book that has Strong's numbers, like the ESV Strong's. And now if I go and choose advanced settings, display, and click on that, you'll notice that every single word in here that has a Strong's number attached to it, which does not include the words the, I, me, a, and, those kinds of words, but all the words that have meaningful Greek dictionary definitions, it'll show you those strong numbers. So that if you want to, you just click on any one of these and go right from one definition to another. I think it looks really, really busy. It makes me dizzy. So I'm going to turn that off. And I'm going to go back to display and turn that off because I can just go click on these words and it'll open up those. Also in this section under display options, I can start each verse on a new line. The NASB Bible, the New American Standard Bible, does that by default. That's how that Bible is designed. But you can do in Olivetree any Bible like that. The NIV and the ESV and the King James and the New King James and almost all Bibles, except for the NASB that I know of, are Bibles that use a paragraph format. And so I like that. So I'm going to turn this off and go back to my paragraph format. You can also hide notes and highlights in text if you want, in the text. If you have notes and highlights, you can hide that. I am going to go back to my NIV 1984, and I am going to go to Matthew to demonstrate that for you. And let's go to Matthew 7. And you'll see in here, I have some highlighted areas, some verses that are highlighted, and I have some notes. So this little icon shows me I have a note for that verse. At some point in time, I wrote a note for that verse. Here's another one I wrote a note for. So if I go into advanced settings and I go down to display, I can hide all those, which is really cool because if I want to just get into reading mode and not be distracted by all the highlights in my Bible, then I could turn off my highlights temporarily and my note icons temporarily and just read through a large section. Like if I'm going to read through the Bible in a year and I don't want to have all those distractions, I just want to do reading, not studying necessarily, I can turn those off temporarily and I can read through it without the distraction, have those, and then when I'm done, I can turn it right back on and they're right there. They're not lost, they're not gone, they're just temporarily hidden. I can do the same thing in my pop-ups. I can hide notes and highlights in my pop-ups as well, which is really cool. Okay, now let's start looking at multi-column text. So we can change our text from what I currently have to single column to multi-column, which is what a lot of study Bibles have. So in order to do this, you first have to go to your settings and turn off vertical scrolling or it won't work. So we'll turn off vertical scrolling here in our quick settings, go back to advanced settings, display, multi-column text, and turn it on. So right now, if we read this, it says format text in 2 columns when space permits, increasing readability. So let's log out of here and close our study center, and voila. Now we have space permitting and we have it set to horizontal scrolling. So now we have our 2-column format, which some people may like. I'm going to go back to advanced settings, display, and turn that off. So that's how multi-text columns formatting works. Also, down here, I can do color words of Jesus. And so in the previous section under fonts and colors, we can change the font and the color of these words. So we can change the colors from red to green if we want. Right now they're at red. I could turn all those off. So basically we have black letter text. So the words of Jesus are now just in black instead of red. And we can go back and turn that on under advanced settings, display, and color words of Jesus. And we can do the same thing with the color for the Strong's text. We can turn those colors off or on if we want. Okay, the last thing I want to look at in our display section under advanced settings is reading progress display. Now, this doesn't show up in the books while their books are open like Kindle does. It shows up in the library list. So right now, just for example purposes, I have whole book set up. We can choose whole book or current chapter. And let's close out of here, go to our library, and see what that looks like. So this one says I'm currently reading it because it's a Bible. So certain resources don't have this feature available, but regular books like Daily Help is a book by Spurgeon. It tells me I have 91% face-to-face, awesome devotional book, 22% because I went through the whole thing and I've started it again. You can see down here reading progress for Anne Graham Lott's Fixing My Eyes on Jesus, 67%, 82 for A.W. Tozer's devotional here. So that's how that works. And if you go down the list, you can see which books have that feature available and which ones don't. So that's how that works. And let's close out of here. Go back to advanced settings. And I am going to turn that off. I'm going to put none just because I don't really use it. I don't really care what my reading progress is. And there's no use in using up computing power from your phone or your desktop or your iPad to track that stuff if you don't use it. So it just saves a little bit of computing power. It saves a little bit of system resources to not having it do that extra work to track the reading progress if I don't use it. So that's what that is. So those are display options. Copy a verse. A lot of times I'll copy a verse and I'll send a link to Wendy or somebody or one of the elders or something like that. Or else, if I'm keeping notes, I might copy links to put in my notes. So I can include the verse number or the translation citation in here if I want, or I can turn those off, and it'll just be the verse itself, the text of the verse, without the verse numbers or the translation. So the translation will tell me if I'm in ESV Strong's, which I'm in right now, or if I'm copying a verse from the NIV 1984. Unfortunately, it does not tell you the book and the chapter that you're copying from. It only tells you the verse number or the translation. Logos does a much better job. They do an official citation. So if you're writing for publication and you use Logos to copy your verses from, it will give you an official citation, which is really nice. But in here, I don't need it. I don't use it. But I do wish it would include the chapter and verse number. I mean the chapter in number as well, and the book, and the name of the book. So that's what that is. And that's copy verse. Library, we have library settings available to us here where we can turn off automatically downloaded books. If you rather just download them manually when you want them, you can do that. You can just turn this off and they won't automatically download. If you don't have a problem if you have plenty of cellular data, you can turn this on and it'll do it on the road for you. I don't have a lot of data, so I turn this off to preserve my data, and I only use it when I have Wi-Fi on, which saves my data. So then you could show furthest location pop up, use cellular data for audio downloads. I don't use that either. All my audio books are in either Audible or ChristianAudio.com. Most of them. I have a couple in here, but not very many. And show recommendation alerts here. You can turn that off or on there. So those are your library settings. Automatic sync. I love this because I use the Bible app on my computer, I use it on my iPad, and I use it on my phone. And what I love about that is if I set this to be on and I do some work or some reading or some highlighting or create notes or whatever I do, it'll sync it with all my devices. So I have 3 devices. If I make a note in the verse in my iPad and I open up my phone, it'll automatically show up, which is great. Another great advantage of this is Wendy and I share an Olivetree account. So on Wendy's phone, we have this feature turned off so that when I do changes and I make notes and I make highlights when I'm using Olivetree Bible app, it will only affect my books on my devices and not hers. So I have it turned on for mine, so it'll sync mine. But on hers, she has sync turned off. So whatever she does on her phone stays on her phone, and whatever I do on my 3 devices stays the same on my 3 devices. And she doesn't make changes to my version of the Olivetree Bible app, and I don't make changes to her version. That works because she only uses it on her phone. So if she had an iPad too, she could turn it off on her iPad and her phone, and then neither one of those would be changed. But those 2 devices would not be synced unless she got her own separate account, which would be really expensive. So this works great for us because she just uses it on her phone, and she never has used it on. I don't think she's ever used it on the iPad or the computer. So that works great as an additional advantage. So let's go to the back button. Go down to we did automatic sync, and this is a great one. You can play and with all your colors and your fonts all you want, and when you're done, just click reset, put them back to reset, and it's all back to the where it came from the factory, which is a really good setting to begin with, and that's great. So that's reset your colors and your fonts. It will not reset your other ones, just your colors and your fonts. And then lastly, you have some privacy options. So in here, you can choose to have your app performance tracked or not tracked. I choose not to, just because I like my privacy. I don't really have a problem with Olivetree. I think they're trustworthy, but I just in general don't do that. If for Google and stuff, for sure, I turn off on all of my browsers. I always turn off all the tracking devices on all of my browsers and stuff. So you can turn personalized messaging off and on if you want to. If you want to just have at least interruption as possible, turn that off as well, and then you're good to go. So I'm going to turn that back on because I like to know when there's a good sale. So I'm going to hit save, and we're done. Oh, there's one more section at the bottom, the accounts section. So if you click on this, it basically opens up the same as if you go up to the hamburger icon up here and click on account details. It's the same exact window. It's just available in both locations. So we already went over this. You have your email address, your password. If you forget your password, if you don't log in, you can log in here. And there's good reasons why why you should choose an account, which I strongly recommend. And so that is the advanced settings under the gear icon. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Blessings.